everyone, welcome to another video. I want to share with you a few more ways to use the Tacky When Dry gel medium from the Crafters Workshop. So a few weeks ago I did a video on 2 different ways that you can foil with the Crafters Workshop mediums, and in it I used the Tacky When Dry gel medium as a way to show you how to stick down your foil to your projects. This is such a versatile medium though. I wanted to share with you a few more ideas on how you can use this and incorporate it into your card making, scrapbooking, mixed media pieces, that kind of thing. Now this is really great to have on hand. It is just a white gel medium. It goes on white, but it's going to dry clear and it's going to dry tacky. So there's a lot of different things you can do with it. Now for my card panels today, I'm using white cardstock that's A2 in size, so 4¼ by 5½. And on both of them, I'm using the Blooming Garden stencil from the Crafters Workshop. The only difference, I'm using one in the 6x6 form, which I'm doing here, and then the other one I'll use the 12x12 form of the stencil. I wanted to do that because I wanted to share with you, especially some of you scrapbookers and mixed media artists, I know you buy a lot of the larger stencils, and I wanted to share with you that you could transfer those into smaller projects like card making as well. So I went ahead and taped down my panel to my stencil, the 6x6 one in this particular card, and I'm going to go ahead and grab out an old gift card. The trick to getting this medium to work for you is to get it as smooth as possible. So normally I would use a palette knife, but I find that those aren't long enough or wide enough to get this product as smooth as I want it. So just grab an old credit card or gift card, and that really does the trick. You can buy special tools like the metal scrapers and that kind of thing, but I had this on hand, so if I don't have to spend the extra money, I just saved a few bucks. So I'm going to go ahead and grab out some of that product and just smooth it through my stencil. Like I said, you want to get this as smooth as possible. You don't want a lot of bumps in this. And I'm just going to smooth that through, make sure there's no bubbles, but make sure I have it through all of those little nooks and crannies because this is a pretty detailed stencil that I'm using here. Once I have it exactly how I want it, I'm going to go ahead and peel up that stencil from my card panel. You want to be careful here because I did cover the entire panel. There's not a lot of holding space, but this will dry on the tools that you're using, like the credit card and the stencil. So you want to get those washed off as soon as you get them off the paper. You don't want that stuff to dry on there. Now for my second card, I'm going to focus on the larger stencil, and I'm going to focus on that rose that's in the top left-hand corner. That's going to be the image I want on my card. So whenever I tape down a stencil, especially with one like this where I want it positioned kind of perfectly on my card panel, I like to go ahead and position it first, tape it down from the front just temporarily, and then I flip it over. From there, I can go ahead and tape down my panel from the back. That way I know the front hasn't shifted at all. I know it's going to be exactly where I want it to be. Then I can flip it back over. I'm going to place it onto a piece of computer paper to catch all that extra stuff, and I can remove that piece of tape from the front. That piece of tape just allows me to hold it in place while I do the taping on the back. Now, I am just focusing on that rose like I said, so I want to go ahead and mask off all the different areas around that. So I like to use masking tape for this, and I like to do it beforehand. You could by all means skip that step and just focus your gel medium on the rose part, but I'm not good at that. I know I'm too messy for that kind of stuff. So I just like to go ahead and mask it all off with some masking tape and then just smush a bunch of product through that rose. I don't have to worry about it getting anywhere I don't want to because I know the tape is protecting that for me. I went ahead and used my palette knife to go ahead and get out some product and put it on my stencil, and then I'll smush that through using my little old credit card, gift card, whatever you're using. Then I can go ahead and peel up that stencil. I have quite a bit of tape, so you do want to take it slow with this one. And then I've got this great rose right on my panel, and that's all I have on there, which is exactly what I wanted. Now both of those I set aside to dry. Like I said, this goes on clear, but when it goes on white, but when it dries, it's completely clear. For my first project, this is the one where I used the 6x6 stencil and I covered the entire panel. I'm going to go ahead and use the gilding flakes on this. This is Cosmic Shimmer Gilding Flakes. This is Summer Meadow. I had to look at the bottom of this to remember which one this was. These are beautiful. Most of the time you can find like gold and silver gilding flakes. This has all different colors in it. It's got some green, some bronze, some gold. It's just really gorgeous. So I'm going to first grab a bunch of these out. I am working inside of a box because these things go everywhere. If you don't like a mess, I would stay away from these, just saying. But I went ahead and just put a bunch of these on, covering up that gel medium. Now, be warned, whenever you first start this, it's going to look like a mess. You're going to think, what did I do? Did I ruin my panel? And no, you didn't. You just need to get it stuck on there. So go ahead and use your finger and press them down into the panel. Now again, it's still going to look like you just smushed a bunch of product on there without any stencil underneath there. That's where you need to go ahead and grab a brush out. Your fingers aren't going to do the trick for this. Use a paintbrush. I'm actually going to use, this is from my husband's toolkit. It's like a little brush where you would, he has to work in like detector boxes and stuff like that. So he had a little brush that he would get out and dust away cobwebs and stuff. Well, I washed it and stole it from his tool bag, but it is the perfect consistency to kind of get in there and really dust away all those extra flakes that aren't sticking to the actual product. So you want to get in there and start really pressing those in. I believe you can find tools made specifically in craft stores for this. I will look those up and I will leave those down below linked. As always, all the products I used today are going to be linked down below. So if you have any questions about gilding flakes, about the products I'm mentioning, they're all going to be listed and linked down below so you can find them easily. Now I'm coming back to a softer brush and I'm really going to get in those crevices and dust away all the little extra pieces. You can go back and forth from a coarser brush to a softer brush until you get as much brushed away as you want to and get all those fine details. I even came in a little bit later with an angled brush like you would use for eyeliner and really got into those cracks and crevices, and that helped brush away all those extra. You can see I'm being pretty rough here. You can be. It's not going to hurt it at all. But once you have it completely dusted away, you're going to be left with this gorgeous pattern that's shiny, but it's not as shiny as a foil would be. It almost looks burnished a little bit. It's just a really neat effect that's different from foiling, and it's unique. It's gorgeous and it's great. So I wanted to keep this super duper simple. I love the background so much. I love all the color variation and all that stuff that I kept this card simple. I'll show you how I finished it in just a minute. You may be looking at that and thinking that's a lot of waste. These go so far. I didn't even make a dent in this container with how much I used, and you can pick up any extra and put it back in there. I wouldn't even bother, to be honest. Here's a closer look at that on the card panel. Just so you can see all the different colors that are included there. You've got greens and a few blues and purples and golds. It's a gorgeous, gorgeous finish on the card. Now to finish this off, like I said, I wanted to keep it super simple. I took a thanks sentiment, stamped it, made it into a banner, added a little craft banner behind there to help it pop away from that background. I popped my panel onto a craft mat and popped everything onto an A2 top folding card base. And I used double-sided adhesive. I didn't use any dimension on this. Like I said, I wanted to focus on the background on that one. Now for my next card. This is the one where I used the 12 by 12 stencil and I used that rose. I wanted to glitter this one. I'm using two different colors of glitter. I'm going to use some green on the leaves and then I'll use a gold on the actual flower itself. This is super simple as well. I'm working over coffee filters to catch all the extra glitter, or try to catch it all. It doesn't. These two techniques, I will have to admit, are pretty messy, but I promise the results are worth it. Again, I'm grabbing out the brush. I found the best tool for this technique though is your finger, believe it or not, to really burnish in that glitter. You're just going to dump it on there. A few little stray flecks might get in the flower. That's okay. It's not that big of a deal. This is by no means going to be absolutely perfect unless you did this in 2 different steps, but I wanted to get this all done in 1 step. So I am just going ahead and placing all that green glitter on the leaves. Now at this point, I decided that picking up a little glitter and burnishing it in with my finger was the quickest way to get into those really tight spots and to get into those fine details. Once I had the green on there, I'm not going to burnish it in completely yet. I just dusted off any excess, and then I took it over to my next coffee filter and I'll sprinkle on my pink glitter. Now this is from the dollar spot at Target. I got it around Valentine's Day. And if you go to Target, look in their dollar spot. They almost always have these great big bottles of glitter, and they are great in crafting. They are super fine and they just work wonderful. So again, I found the best way to get in those tight places was to use my finger, pick up a little bit of glitter, and then burnish it right into the medium. Like I said, this is tacky once it's dry, so everything's going to stick really well. I tried to go ahead and put this in a piece of computer paper and then use my bone folder and burnish it in. That's a good way to get a lot of the extra little glitter flakes off, but the best way to burnish this in, seriously, is to just use your finger. So I took it out and I dusted away all the little excess. At this point, there's so little excess, it didn't matter if I was going to throw it away or not. But then I took my finger and just started swirling and really pressing down into that medium. This is going to help all those little glitter pieces lay completely flat against that medium. It is such a neat look. I'll give you a close-up in just a moment of it. But like I said, just press and rub over it. And once it gets in there and you know it's good, it's going to have almost not as a shiny a finish. It almost looks, it's flat. I mean, you'll be able to see it. Here's a close-up photo of how it's going to look, because like I said, all those individual pieces are going to lay down flat against that medium. That's how you know it's stuck and it's really good to go and it's not going to fall off on you. Here's another look at that. You can see it's still nice and shiny, but you've got that nice flat surface. Again, I wanted the focus to be on the background of this card, so I took that panel, I matted it onto a black mat, and popped that panel onto an A2 top folding card base again. For my sentiment, I used a happy die cut it about 5 times, layered those all up, and then added a couple layers of clear embossing over that to give it that shine and raised look. I used an anniversary with some rose ink. I will leave all the colors listed down below. I stamped that out, cut it off, added that to the happy, and that card was done. These were both such fun cards to make. They both are admittedly a little bit messy, but I think the mess is worth it. Here's a look at both panels together. You can see I used the same medium, same stencil. One was a little larger than the other, but they're such different looks. You can just play around with these both and just have so much fun with them, really make them your own. Here's a final look at both cards. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. And also a few more ideas on how to use that tacky when dry gel medium from the Crafters Workshop. I'm going to leave some links over on the left side of your screen that you can click on if you want to see more videos from me. There's also a button that you can use to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. All of my social media links are down in the description box. Happy crafting, everyone!